Well, welcome everybody. As you just heard, this meeting is being recorded for training purposes, and we are embarking on our fifth session, last session for this series. So welcome back today to our ongoing quest to build a culture of empathy. And so we're going to start with a round of short check-ins, take up to 30 minutes to tell us if you have comments or questions from the last session, or how was your empathy buddy call, or any short report from facilitating an empathy circle this week. And I'll be calling on you. I'm going to start with Monica.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I wasn't here last week, so I'm glad I can make it for the check-in today, at least. I had a inspiring buddy call with Ron on Sunday. Yeah, it feels like getting some roots or so. That's my sense of the sessions. Yeah, I can use that in this group I run, in the change group. So we haven't done it yet, but I have in mind which part we can use that for a bigger group. But I feel like it's dropping into my private life and in the context I made here.
Thank you, Monica. Cecilia, would you please go?
Hey guys, and I'm up.
Yes, I didn't manage to connect with my buddy, but I have I continue to ask friends and talk to them about it. So I listened to two people in this way to introduce what it's about and say, but I haven't managed to gather enough people this week for a circle. But I'm glad with the three I've done, and I'm really glad for the feedback last time on facilitating. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul?
Thank you. Yeah, I missed last week, and I didn't do my buddy call, so sorry about that. But I did facilitate a little empathy exercise in a workshop I did last week, and it was really well received. So we had a very short amount of time, just did it in pairs, and it was some training for some new independent counselors. And yeah, I think they found it a really valuable exercise. So I was really pleased that I had a chance to pass it on to them, and also do it such that they got something from it. So feeling very grateful for this course. And I've noticed I've also just generally in workshops that I'm hosting or participating in, just a lot more present to the listening skills and reflecting back what people are saying to me if I'm facilitating. So finding lots of ways to practice outside of the training.
Wonderful. Thank you, Paul. Joelle, would you please go?
Hi, everybody. I just met with Deborah for our buddy call, which was delightful. And I enjoyed hearing her process about her empathy offerings to her work people, because that's sort of I'm in process with that. And yeah, I think that's it. I just feel like my brain is growing and learning so much through this process.
Thank you, Joelle. Ron, would you please go?
Yes, thank you. I acknowledge Te Autaho Nui a Pāparangi and Te Awa Tupua, the Indigenous people of this area where I am, Manawinua, and the river that is that flows through. I had 2 buddy calls. I had a buddy call with Michelle, and I had a buddy call with Monica. And yeah, I think they're really such powerful things to take part in. And I've also had an empathic listening session with another friend. And I'll know tomorrow whether the group that I'm involved with around white racism is going to shift to an empathy circle style of operation. So yeah, I'm really passionate. I've decided to repeat this training as soon as possible. So maybe roll over next week. The early mornings are okay. It's good to be here. Yeah, kia ora tātou.
Thank you, Ron. Tiaho, would you please go?
Greetings, everyone. Yeah, I'm back with my son's people, so that's Ngāti Kuata, the Indigenous people of this area, and I've actually just spent the whole week at my mother-in-law's funeral, so lots of traveling and sadness, and yeah.
Tēnā koe Tiaho.
Thank you, Tiaho. Deborah, would you please go? Deborah, can you hear me? Oh.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Yeah, I've had a lovely body call with Joelle. Thank you. And I did run an empathy circle this week. I went, took part in the Rebel Wisdom event, and that was a really brilliant experience. Amazing quality of reflective listening with a juicy topic as well. And also wanted to say, had an absolutely amazing, supportive experience with, I've got his name on Friday, the Facilitators Supporters Cafe. Yeah, I highly recommend that. So looking forward to tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Deborah. Aaron, would you go next, please?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm actually feeling a little bit of guilt now. I haven't managed to connect with my buddy this week. Mark was traveling and our paths didn't coincide. And I've also not practiced any official empathy circles or facilitated anything, but it is definitely infiltrating my personal life. I've met lots of new people this week, and I've learned quite a lot with how shame applies to empathy and how empathy can be a direct antidote to shame. So didn't run a circle, but still progressing in this journey, and very grateful to be here again with you all. And I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Freddie, would you be willing to be next, please?
Yep. Hello, everyone. I didn't manage to meet with Shay this week. Sorry, Shay. I did facilitate my first empathy circle, which was really, really fun. I'll just share a little bit about it. So I'm living with some students, and they're all about 20, 22. There were 5 of us, and we were planning on going out to a house party, but I managed to persuade them to do an empathy circle, just as a prees, really. And we ended up staying up the whole night doing that empathy circle for 3.5 hours. And everyone loved it. It was really interesting because to start with, we were very awkward. I ran it just how you guys have taught me on here, and it was very awkward and we're quite closed. And then I just thought, let's relax, put some music on, have a few beers. And it really got going as we relaxed and opened up. And my questions would be, why is the 5-minute timer there? Because sometimes one person would go for upwards of 20 minutes, and that helped. But it seemed to help them open. And is it okay? Because basically, what would happen is we would go into the practice and stuff, and then things might get too heavy or awkward or something, and then we'd come out of the empathy circle and just chit chat for a bit, and then someone would say, "Okay, I'm ready," and we'd go back in, sort of thing. It sort of flowed in and out like that, and it was quite nice. It seemed. So yeah, that's been my experience, and I really enjoyed it, and they did too. One of the guys in the group said, "Okay, I'll be the facilitator now. I'm the facilitator," and I was like, "Okay," and he wanted to lead it, and that was really good, and I enjoyed that. And yeah, I've really found that I'm becoming more empathetic in general. Like I naturally practice reflective listening with friends and people. It helps. I feel like it really helps them and helps myself. So I'm really enjoying this, and that's me. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Freddie. We'll answer your question afterwards, after the check-in. Tina, would you please go now?
Yeah, morning everyone, or evening, or wherever. So yeah, Freddie, thanks for the suggestion of beers. I think that's what's been missing in my progress. So I have done most of my buddy calls, and they've always been fabulous, I think just for general moral support in life. And this group just has been so nourishing for me, because I'm struggling like with activism and with, what am I meant to be or do? As far as being an official facilitator, I don't think I'm anywhere near there yet. I have not done official circles. I have done some unofficial empathic listening where I've just said, okay, I'll just listen, and people most often have told me no, they don't want me to kind of recap back, they just wanted me to be present and to listen. And I definitely feel that I got better also in just reining myself back if somebody's talking to me, to not immediately pipe in with my own things, but to just just listen, be there for them, put yourself in their shoes. So that, I think this has definitely made me a better person. I don't know that I'm, any help for the empathy movement in general just yet, but I'm also thinking I will redo this training at some point, and maybe then, or maybe not, I don't know. And yeah, so I think I will take home the thoughts of beers and see where it goes.
Okay, thank you, Tina. Shay, would you please check in, please? And we're asking if you had empathy buddy calls, empathy circle, or questions for the trainers.
Yeah, I was visiting my father for a few days, and we had a few conversations, and at some point I stopped him and I said, listen, it doesn't work for me, because I don't see what you want to say. I don't feel that I'm understood, and I suggested that we'll do the empathy circle. And he asked me why, and I explained that it can help us understand each other better. And he agreed, and when we did that, it worked amazing. So when we didn't do that, it was terrible. But usually it is terrible, and usually I just accept it and do nothing. And in this case, the last week with my father and friends and other people, I said, I didn't just let it go and be terrible, but I said, I have a suggestion. I want to do something here that we can understand each other better and not get into misunderstanding and fights. And I told. So I'm really glad for this tour. I have a friend who didn't agree to use it or any other thing, and they just said, I don't care what you want to say, I don't care about feelings and needs. And so I said, okay, so I don't see a way to speak with you. If you don't care about listening to what I have to say, or you don't care about my feelings and needs, I don't want to speak. I don't see a starting point. And this created also a very good conversation after that. So yeah, that's for now what I have to share.
Thank you very much, Shay. Good news. So Michelle, would you be willing to go next?
Me, Michelle?
Yes, you, Michelle. Sorry,
Okay.
you, Michelle.
That's okay. That's okay. Yes, I'd love to. I am feeling good today. And this week I caught up on my buddy calls. I had 2 of them this week, which was wonderful. And I helped facilitate a big cafe thing with Edwin last week, which was pretty amazing. Lots I learned from there. So yeah, I guess I'm not sure where the space is for elaborating on that or not, but anyways, that's what I've done, and I'm feeling like Tina said, I still have a long ways to go as well, but this second bout through this training has definitely helped to bolster my confidence a little bit more. So thank you for that. Check.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so I'm going to the trainees. Michelle Clark, would you be willing to check in next?
Yes, so gladly. Yeah, so it's been, we had the big Rebel Wisdom circle, so that was really cool. And then I had 2 great buddy calls, like one with yourself, which just made a massive difference. Yeah, I was really grateful for that, and also with Larry as well. So yeah, I just kind of, I just felt the benefit of the community this week. It was lovely.
Thank you. Dean, would you go next, please?
Well, this week I've been trying to put the empathy circle practice into play with politics, local politics. So it's been a bit messy, but it's actually taking hold and taking root. And I'm actually more interested in doing some more of it. And we're actually going to be reaching out to try and get people that wouldn't talk to each other to actually talk to each other. I've got Edwin to thank for that, because he inspired me with what he was doing in America. So I'm doing it on a very tiny scale over in this country. And then hopefully we can scale it up and then sit outside the House of Commons and demand that the 2 leaders come and sit in an empathy cafe and actually get down to real politics instead of just greenwashing and whitewashing and all the other stuff that they do at the G7. Thank you, Celine.
Thank you, Dean. Graham, would you please go next?
Thank you, Celine. I'm very happy to be here. I didn't do too many buddy calls. I had my standard one with Dustin. I tried to get in touch with Tiaho, but Tiaho, as we hear, was occupied with family bereavements. My thoughts go out to you, Tiaho. And last week, I'm thinking of some of the things that Tina was saying and Michelle was saying, that I've got a long way to go to set up my own empathy circles. And last week, there were some big doors opened or big barriers removed. The barriers are inside of me. And so that was good. And I'm also noticing that that I can listen way more comfortably to people nowadays. And I'm able to, it's a slow process, but I'm able to reflect in the process of a normal conversation. And that's appreciated not only by me, but by my speaker. And so, long way to go. I look forward to being in the next cohort, which is 13B at some stage. Anyway, I look forward to today. Thank you all.
Thank you, Graham. Larry, would you be willing to check in next?
Yes, thank you, Celine. Yeah, I did an empathy buddy call with Michelle. That was wonderful. And some empathy circles. And I would like to report on one of them that was just wonderful. There's a lady who came through the training a couple of months ago, and she and I have continued the buddy calls. And she's starting empathy circles, and she has some friends who like to talk about art, A-R-T. So I don't know a whole lot about art, but I said I'd be happy to join the empathy circle if I could share a poem that I didn't write, but it's called Desiderata, and I love that poem. And she did some planning ahead. She found the poem, of course, easy to find on the internet, and then she divided it up so that each person in the empathy circle would have a section of Desiderata to read out loud. And this was just incredible. She's from Vietnam and her friends are in Vietnam. And we each took a section of Desiderata and shared that. And if you can imagine Desiderata being shared in an empathic way, well, I was in tears by the time we were halfway through that poem. So thank you all. That's my check-in.
Thank you, Larry. So I will go and say that I had 2 great empathy buddy calls this week. I'm very grateful. And I got to facilitate a circle in what we're calling Edwin's Cafe, Big Cafe. And I loved it and it gave me confidence. So I'm very thankful for that opportunity. So I will now go to Bill and ask you, Bill, please check in.
Sure. No, I'm doing okay. My son is going to be visiting this week and I haven't seen him for 3 years. So that's really kind of exciting. And yeah, I've been doing the empathy circles in schools and I'm trying to figure out and meet people where they are. And one woman is designing a game, an empathy game. And so one of the things that came to me when I was thinking about it, instead of like one person finishing, whatever it is, and then getting the goal and winning, if you had a larger circle and the object was for everyone to get into that circle of the empathy or the culture of empathy before a certain time limit. And so everybody wins. So that was just some things I'm playing with. I'm doing that. I was at a few other calls and trainings and stuff. So I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. And Edwin, would you be willing to check in, please?
Yeah, thanks, Celine. Yeah, I'm celebrating that Rebel Wisdom call from last week. It was the largest cafe, that I've hosted. It was 87 participants, and so it was, it was it just felt so great to put out a call for facilitators and have 20 facilitators, show up, about 20. So it's just so amazing to be able to do that, and for everyone to be able to hold. It was a challenging topic. It was empathizing with racism. What comes up for you when you hear that? And I was a little nervous about the topic, but I was kind of trying to make the case for that empathy is the way forward, in all these sort of challenging, discussions people are having. And it was just really well received. The energy was just fantastic at the end. So, really celebrating that. And thanks everyone who was able to come and facilitate. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Edwin. Okay, well, I'm going to now pass it to Dean, please.
So I'm going to be mentioning quickly some bits that were brought up from last week's session. Yet again, they came up again about people being put up for empathy circles without actually having any choice about it. I like the fact that the person added at the end, next session, I will check this out at the beginning. In XR, we've had a similar situation where we've been using empathy circles at the end of actions to try and repair damage done, when in reality we should be doing the empathy circle before we start action planning or before we start planning a rebellion, so that therefore people can actually hear each other and then they can sit with each other and therefore they can know where to go and where not to go with each other, so therefore they can work as a unit rather than antagonistically and hurting each other. So therefore this is the way forward. We need empathy cafes before we do anything rather than trying to do the damage after we've done something. And another major point that was made was how do we get people to come to an empathy cafe, especially an XR one, after they've been mocked or they've been ridiculed and left XR because of the negativity? Well, we tried to do a restorative type circle by actually reaching out to the person one-on-one and just doing reflective listening, like we would call it a buddy call. So you reach out and do a buddy call with the person, and then you get them to actually be aware of the process as an independent process rather than an XR only process. And then that can be a way of getting someone who's no longer interested in XR to then become part of XR again by a restorative circling process. And this was quite a powerful tool, because it made people who had felt isolated suddenly no longer isolated, and it welcomed them back into the fold. And the last point was, why do we have 5 minutes, or why do we have timing? Because if we didn't actually have timing in the structured dialogue, then it would be you'd actually be having a listening circle, and that can sometimes be dominated by one person. It can be a very powerful process in itself, listening to just one person. But the whole point about the Empathy Cafe is we spiral amongst each other. So we have these breaks regularly from person to person to person. So that's why we have the 5 minutes or the 4 minutes, depending upon the size of the Empathy Cafe. Are there any questions?
Can I just add something, Dean?
Certainly.
Yeah, just for the time limit, that's sort of a way to get started. You can kind of expand, have 10-minute turns later, even do away. I've done, had cafes, but starting with 5 minutes, just so that everyone gets a chance to be heard. It kind of brings a sense of equality of listening. But, I've done cafes that gone for 4.5 hours. You sort of drop after a while, after a couple hours, you can sort of drop that turn. And you can also experiment with it and see what works too and innovate. So just add that.
Thank you.
Please, can I ask a question?
Freddie.
From my experience of recently doing one, I wanted, and actually some of the participants wanted, to go deeper, and I know that it's a natural process to go deeper and for the stories to sort of fade and the true feelings to show, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I guess it's not advised to push to go deeper. You just thought, is it advised just to let it happen? Because we were sometimes speaking for quite a long time, and yeah, I'm going to stop. I think. Does that make sense?
It's like we were saying, and everyone was saying, it's best not to force the issue, because if you tend to force the issue and make demands upon someone else, then you're not actually being empathic, are you? But if someone wants to carry on and they are being reflected as they're spending a long time speaking, especially if they're very invested in what they're speaking about, then I can't see anything wrong with doing that.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
So I'm going to pass on to Larry now. Larry?
Thank you, Dean. And thank you for that question. That was a great question. I'm glad to hear the responses on that. Okay, so next we have, this is just an empathy circle. This circle is for integrating your experience and learning. Also for harvesting feedback about the benefits of the training. We'd also like to hear what you will do next with the Empathy Circle practice and training. We will post some topics to consider in the chat. What are the most valuable learning and benefits from this training? What are your next steps for applying empathy circles? And it says turns of 4 or 5 minutes, and we'll go until a quarter till the top of the hour. So we'll have also a 45-minute debrief, and you will get 10-minute warning before the end. Did I cover that, Ed?
Yeah, we're ready to go into the breakout rooms. We have 4 rooms. First one is Michelle. I'll be with you. And then there'll be Larry, you'll have one group, and see, Graham, another, and then Celine, and with Bill with you. So, and the topics there in the chat, and see you in the empathy circle.
So wait, Edwin, so it goes to 11:45.
11:45, yeah. So we'll have 45 minutes. I'll send a 10-minute warning.
Okay.
Should be 5 of us here, Michelle. There we go.
Cool. Hi, everyone. And so, yeah, so this is, so it's just been shared there with us that the topic for this circle is going to be like, what are your most valuable learning and benefits, and what your next steps are? Or if there's anything at all that's alive for you that you'd like to share. So I'm going to propose that we're going to just do, if you want to, we'll take just 5 minutes of a water in, water out break. And I don't know what you think, Edward. I'm just going to offer it if any of the facilitators would like to practice facilitating this final circle. You're welcome to, if you wish.
Sure, if someone wants to keep the time. Looks like Freddie does.
Yeah.
He's muted.
Oh, you're on mute. Yeah, you're on mute. Yeah.
Sorry, Freddie wants to do what?
Well, I'm throwing it open to see if anybody's up for facilitating the circle. Like, if you want to just like, yeah. Cool. And would anybody like to do time for as well?
I can do time. Yeah, oh. Paul, you do it.
I'm all ready.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. That is fantastic. That is amazing. I want one.
It's a tablet app, nothing special.
Do the how-to and introduce
No, you don't. We just do it. There's hardly anything to do. Everybody knows it. You're not doing the how-to. It's just, yeah, start going.
Okay.
Will we grab a quick 5 minutes water in, water out, or do we just go straight into the circle? Both work.
Could we just keep going? And if you want to take a break, just drop out. So
sweet.
Would that work?
Yep.
Okay.
Ready?
I invite anyone to go first, and I will listen to you, and we shall go from there.
I can go first if nobody else wants to. So my most valuable learning from this is that I've just come to the conclusion of like, oh my God, empathy or like lack of empathy is the very root cause of everything that's wrong with this world. Like, you know, me being XR, I've been like, oh, you know, climate change and biosystems destructions and all that is the big threat. And it's like, no, wait a minute, that's also a symptom. So yeah, that's been a big eye opener for me.
Okay, I heard you saying that you've realized recently that empathy or lack of empathy is the root cause of all problems, and for your experience in XR, that a lack of understanding and empathy of the environment, yeah, so that causes a lot of problems.
Yeah, like for a while I had this one word that spoke to me. I was like kindness. I was thinking if everybody just had kindness towards one another and the things around them, that would be the fix it all. But now looking at it, you know, what will give you kindness? It's if you have empathy.
I heard you saying that you were working with kindness, and if everyone just had kindness and kindness to each other, which is empathy.
So that's been my most like light bulb moment from this training. And as far as what I'm going to do with that or how it's going to help me along my next steps, I have absolutely no idea. I'm like, okay, I figured out what's wrong, but I have no idea how to fix it or how to go about fixing it.
Okay, so that's been your light bulb moment, but going forward, you have no idea where to go now.
Yeah. Because I mean, normally my path in life is to just be the best person I can and just act on my immediate surroundings. And I just still feel like the times that we live in, that's not going to be enough anymore, that people need to reach out and reach beyond just themselves. And yeah, I'm horrified of that, and also don't think I'm going to be very good at that.
Okay. So you said that your normal course and path is just to try and be as good a person as you can for your immediate surroundings, but you don't think that's enough now, and that we need to reach out to others, but you're scared that you're not going to be good enough at that, and you're scared of that.
Yeah, so I think that's all the anywhat inspiring things that have come to me. So I feel heard with this, and thanks, Freddie.
Okay.
I'll gift my last minute to the next person.
Okay. Paul, please will you listen to me?
Yes, go ahead, Freddie.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm very new to this, and I think I am starting to see that it's so important, empathy in all areas of life. Like whatever you're doing, like understanding each other, so important. I'll pause there.
So you're saying that you're relatively new to this and you're finding out how important empathy is in all aspects of life in terms of just getting related and getting to know each other.
Yeah. I mean, perhaps because we're all sort of part of the same thing. We're also disconnected, and empathy allows us to be connected.
particularly because you think we're all part of the same thing. So in some way connected, but also potentially disconnected.
Yeah, so if we're empathetic to each other, we're more connected to each other. Currently, our society is very disconnected. We're very individualistic. We think very individually about our own problems and wants and things. And if we're able to empathize with everyone around us, yeah, that would be.
So when we're being empathetic with each other, we are a lot more connected. But individually, if we're not doing that, when we become disconnected. And you're also saying that we think quite often individualistically. So that aspect in itself is, what I heard is that we're on our own when we're doing that, and that's not quite the same as being connected and empathizing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there would just be a lot less suffering, wouldn't there? I'm gonna stop saying wouldn't there? Yeah, so yeah, I'm new to this and I'm really glad that I found this. So I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, it's
I'm really getting that you're present to how powerful this is in terms of removing suffering. Comes over very powerfully when you say it, and you're genuinely glad that you come across it and hugely grateful.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. I feel fully heard.
Okay, you had a little bit longer if you want it. You okay? Okay.
We could maybe sit for a minute and a half. Just
okay.
the only thing I have is a question, but perhaps I can save that to the end.
Okay, thank you. That's time. Michelle, you happy to listen to me? I can't hear you. Are you connected?
Yes, so
okay,
happy to listen to you. Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay. First thing I want to say is that I've just noticed how tired I am at the moment. Feeling it's a tiredness that's come from a little bit of lack of sleep, but also kind of emotional energy, a strain, that kind of stuff.
You're noticing some tiredness and yeah, mostly coming from a lack of sleep and a little bit of an energy drain.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'm really present to right now is how moved I was by, well, both Freddie and Tina, but particularly when he was speaking, Tina, about, you know, looking after and doing things in the immediate environment, and that not being enough. I related to that very deeply.
So you're moved by Freddie and Tina's share, and particularly like looking around the immediate environment and that not being enough.
Yeah, and just the significance of that, which I can see in many people around the world. And that it's facilitating, you know, can facilitate a despair, but also potential. I can see this massive potential of next level of awakening, you know, if enough people are in that position, what that's going to bring.
So it's like, yeah, you can see this in a lot of other people as well, like around you, and there's maybe an empathy, no, a facilitator despair you mentioned, but like at the same time you're seeing this potential for a next level of awakening.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's kind of linking in with what Freddie said as well about, you know, and I do believe that a lot of people feel like that and are probably feeling very alone about it. I know I have. And then that's exactly when we need to connect. And maybe that will be what cultivates this empathy tsunami.
You're sensing that, like, there's maybe a lot of people going through this at the moment, individually, and that you think maybe by going against the instinct and actually that this is the time to connect, and that connection may bring a shift, an empathy tsunami.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe it's like a virtuous circle in the respect that, you know, this is too hard to face on your own. And so we naturally reach out to other people, and enough people are going to feel that bad about how the situation is. So that's what has to happen.
So you think maybe it's like a virtuous circle. It's like if enough people feel this and come together, that it'll, yeah, that it's gonna bring about a big change.
And maybe that's I know you're probably all familiar with it, like the Gaia principle of, you know, the world will correct itself. We're part of that, and maybe that's a manifestation of it. You know, get enough people in the world feeling alone and isolated that they start to connect again, and off we go.
Yeah. So you think it may be like it may be nature self-correcting, that it's like we're being called, like that it's part of, like, if enough people suffer enough, that will be called forward. Yeah.
Thank you. That's time fully heard. Thank you very much. Wonderful reflecting.
Yeah, it was really lovely to listen to you. I don't know, do you mind listening to me?
Yes, listening.
Oh. Yeah, I'm reflecting on everything being shared here, and you know, the tsunami of empathy that the poll was mentioned, and like Freddie's just the example he gave earlier of like the empathy, their empathy party. what's come up strongest for me is what Tina has shared about, you know, the time ahead with the environment, needing the community to come together. I'll pause there. It's a lot, sorry.
Yeah, so you're sort of building on or thinking about what Paul and Freddie have said, and what really resonated was what Tina said about the environmental community coming together.
Yeah, exactly. So there was, I've been looking at some research with like climate change and consciousness, like Stephanie Mins is putting together at the moment, which is around sustainable health. And what she's proposing, or what she foresees for us, is that like with the environmental crisis, as it escalates and gets worse, is that like, as you know, there's large groups of people, probably underprivileged, that will get displaced, and a lot more refugees, and like that there's going to be a massive wave of health crisis that will come with the environmental crisis, that public systems will not be able to support this. Pause there.
So some research that you've heard is about that with the environmental crisis, it's going to cause us a big health crisis, and the health system's not going to be able to address that.
Yeah. So what she's proposing is like a community-based model around healing, like a community-based model. So her model is like looking at it like more around, you know, healing in the community. But similar to what like Paul was saying there, it's like it just kind of made me wonder if, like, you know, all like, you know, this movement around empathy, and like, you know, the, you know, now these movements starting, like particularly like what you're doing with us, it's like, are we all being rallied to really reconnect back into community connection within the community, coming back to our hearts, and actively supporting each other with empathy, and getting really deep skills around it. And it's directly linked for what's ahead, which is with whatever like is ahead with the environmental crisis. Yeah.
So I think you're talking about what to do next, or next possibilities, and one is to be having these empathy skills, but then apply it to sort of community development, like the healthcare, creating healthcare systems, and kind of more community-based, local support.
Totally. Yeah, totally. That it's I think I'm just on time there as well, actually. But so it's that it's like just within society, within our own community. I see it within my own life, the difference that's making. But then also for what's ahead, it's like, it just feels like the most useful thing that we can focus on, as a society at the moment. So
Or you mean that the most useful thing we can focus on is sort of a local community development, with empathy being kind of part of that?
Completely. Like this coming together as we are, like is like what we're doing right now, what you have us doing in this movement. It just feels like really aligned with like purpose and with what's needed. It's really
So what we're doing here feels aligned with what is needed.
Totally,
And you're moved by it too, or it's part of your heart. You feel your body, your heart's warmed or something.
Yeah, it is really every cohort. Like as we move from cohort to cohort, it just gets clearer and clearer in my mind that it's like, just keep doing this. I know you've been telling us this from day one, but like I think it's slowly starting to sink in.
Yeah, so I've been saying this is the thing to work on, and it's been saying it over, and you've been taking more and more cohorts, and it's sort of slowly sinking in sort of the importance of what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm a slow learner, but I think it's starting to get through. Yeah, it's starting to really sink in now.
Yeah, so you feel like you're a slow learner, but it's really sinking in, starting to sink in. I think that was your time too. So
yes.
Okay, Tina, Can I speak to you? Yeah, let's see. I had made a note here. Yeah, I was just what you were saying about the root is, it's like empathy is this root essence. I think you're sort of addressing that. That's kind of what the insight that I had too, is like, wow, when I came across empathy, this is really foundational, and especially the relational empathy, right? It's not just, hey, I'm going to be empathic in the world, kind of this individual. I think Freddie or somebody talked about individualism. It's mutual relational empathy, I think, is really sort of foundational.
So you also are feeling that empathy is like one of the sort of building blocks for humans, and not so much just for each human to have as a skill for themselves, but to enable them to link together and to be better humans with each other.
Yeah, and the thing with, it's like with kindness, there's like these different values, but what do you do with it? And I think with the empathy, we have a practice. Well, we just do empathic listening as a starting point. So there's something sort of a tangible process, a tangible step that we can take and then sort of build from there is how I see it.
That's nice. Thanks for explaining that so well. So you're saying that rather than it just being a value by itself, like, okay, kindness, and then kindness, now what? It's like empathy. Okay, in order to do empathy, to apply empathy, you can do empathy circles as a step one to actually start having it be an active thing.
Yeah, and then the next thing is to get everyone in the world to be able to do empathy, right? It's like it's like a tangible step. I mean, technically it is possible to get everyone in the world, more or less, to be able to learn these skills. And so it's, it's not just through empathy circles, but if we had, Biden and, the Republicans doing an empathy circle, or with Trump or in the parliament, just people seeing it being done would just spread it like all over the world really fast. So it's like, there's a lot of ways of spreading it so that everyone could sort of learn this practice.
So you feel that ultimately it needs to be just a basic human skill that everybody knows how to do and does do. And you're envisioning one way of spreading it kind of fast is to just get all the political leaders to kind of practice it and kind of educate everybody's like, hey, this is how it's done.
Because you can, just by observing people doing an empathy circle, especially high profile people, Oprah or whatever, is people learn the practice just through observation, and then they'd sort of be interested in, oh, well, maybe I can do that with my family, or whatever. Like Shay was talking about, that was a great story about him and his father.
So you feel it would be an easy way to get people encouraged to try it out by seeing it modeled by celebrities and the likes. And yeah, you were touching on how it worked very well for Shay to apply it just to his personal life when he saw something wasn't working well.
Yeah, so I guess it's that tangible steps that I'm saying. There's tangible structures as well as this training, like the training, we're developing it so it's very reproducible. Ideally, everybody here goes off and starts holding their own trainings and, so that's reproducible too. So it's like, how do we create that tsunami that Paul is talking about? These are little pieces, structural pieces for creating that tsunami.
Yeah, so what you're liking about empathy and the way the empathy circles work is that it's structured and it's reproducible and it's, what's the word, expandable. That, yeah, it's just, yeah, you can just reach it out and like you can, I suppose, potentially exponentially grow it. Like if each person who is trained now grabs all their friends and teaches them, and then they grab all their friends and teaches them. So
yeah, let alone the democratic part. That was a big, just finally, Joe Biden said, empathy is the fuel of democracy. Let me repeat that. Empathy is the fuel of democracy. And I really think that there's a big I mean, speaking of Paul here, that, you know, for Belarus, you know, Hong Kong, all these authoritarian, you know, systems, that if we can bring kind of empathy as a movement into these environments, it could, I think, could transform these authoritarian governments.
So you're quoting our friend Joe, and him recognizing that empathy is what feeds democracy, and thinking that if we can just sneak some empathy into more totalitarian countries, that would be a way of moving them away from that kind of a government structure.
Yeah, I feel fully heard. Thanks.
All right, my turn again. And I took note of something because I was like, oh, I need to speak again because this was so awesome. Paul, when you said, oh, who's listening? Michelle, do you want to listen to me?
I'm so glad you asked me. Yes, 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 yes.
I was just so excited. So Paul, I want to thank you so much for what you said, because I'm really good at getting hopeless really fast. And for me, was looking at, you know, as a predicted, you know, society collapsing, like life as we know it won't be like that anymore with just climate change. I was like, my fear was like, oh my God, everybody's just going to turn against each other. You know, whoever has the most guns is going to shoot those who don't, and just fight over resources. And that's been horrendous to me.
So you're really grateful for what Paul shared, because maybe it's you find sometimes you'll slide to hopelessness like quite easily, and like you envisage that like society could collapse and people turn to violence and they'll turn to guns, and yeah, that it's quite just shocking things could unfold.
Yeah, but then Paul, you said it's too bad to face on our own, and I was like, wow, that is just such an amazing statement. I was like, it is going to be so bad, and I've always known, yeah, it's going to be terrible. But what if, you know, it's so bad that people aren't going to just grab their gun and start shooting somebody because it's just so horrible that they just can't do that or don't want to do that, but instead that people will turn to others, like for, you know, just human interaction and comfort, even in horrible times. So yeah, I think I'm going to write that up in pretty and frame it or something and put it on my wall, because yeah, I thank you for that, Paul.
So I hear you're expressing a lot of gratitude to Paul for like coming back to connection, and that like, no, it's times like this, so people will turn to connection, and you feel like writing it up on your wall and framing it.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I guess this is just, it just touches such a raw nerve for me that I'm just like so horrified that things are going to be bad. This is just like the first thing where I can be like, okay, maybe there is hope, because everything else, like people, you know, try to be hopeful or optimistic, but I've always been thinking, you know, this is unrealistic. This is what people are trying to kind of, I call it pink washing, you know, to make things seem not quite so bad. But that you said, Paul, that, you know, if it gets so bad that we can't face it on our own. I mean, in a way, it's, again, this is the pessimist in me coming through, that it has to be so bad that we can't face things on our own again to bring us together. But still, the fact that that might happen. Sorry, Michelle, I waffled a lot there.
No, not at all, not at all, not at all, not at all. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's like, it's just, it's crushing you on the inside. Things might get so bad and what could be ahead. And this like pink washing, it's like frustrating you that it's like, if it's really, yeah, that you feel like really, really alone with this, and you're like terrified, I think. And you're really glad that Paul has, Paul's like pointing us to that.
Michelle might have frozen.
Are you still there, Michelle? Or you gotta?
Like actually Gaia, like it's bringing us, it's bringing us back to connection. That's like, that it's, we don't need to do this alone. It's,
You froze there for a second, Michelle.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, I've frozen. Yeah, I think are you feeling heard now, Tina? I think you're on mute.
I do,
maybe.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Paul, do you mind listening to me? Would that be okay? Thank you. I'm so moved. I'm so moved. I'm so moved. Yeah. Yeah, oh goodness, I'm just trying to connect into, yeah, what I'm feeling, and what I'm feeling mostly in my tummy at the moment is just so much like care for Tina, like wanting to hold her. Really wanting to hold her and so much and so much hope for people who care this much, like it's just so like for me there's so much beauty in the amount of like care that there is in yeah, and it's just giving me a sense of like hope. I'll pause there.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, you were saying how generally moved you are, and taking the time to connect with your feelings, and what you were getting was the amount of care and love you have for Tina, and you want to just hold her, and that you're very inspired by the amount of hope you feel because of all the people that care, and reflecting the beauty in that care, people who have it.
And I really believe deeply that like this, I feel like that, like I do feel that there's like that what we go through, like that what individuals go through, like this sense of like there's like a falling apart to come back into, you know, unity with you know, with you know, that collectively is that it feels like societal structures are collapsing, and that like within community, you know, within the like the individualism and all of the like symptoms that we're seeing, like, you know, of society breaking down, and coming to a crisis point. You know, I feel like you know, that quote of like rock bottom is the firm foundation on which I like rebuilt my life. Like J.K. Rowling talks about this, like that rock bottom, that like incredible human beings, you know, most people that like have achieved a lot, you know, in society, like as in has contributed like profoundly in society, talk about this rock bottom, that this firm foundation that rebuilds things, or a complete collapse, you know. But I do think it's like a bottom that like really that comes back in a much more like profound way. My sense is collectively that's the process at the moment. I'll pause there. Yeah.
Wow. I just getting, you're talking about the individuals and what people go through as an individual, those difficulties, all kind of build towards a kind of a personal collapse, which reflects the symptoms of all the crises we're seeing in the culture. But then you talk about this rock bottom, and if you get to rock bottom, then the rock bottom is a rock, you know, and it's solid and it's a foundation and it's a real place of building.
Yeah, I feel so well heard that it's like what blossoms from there is like, you know, that rock bottom is needed because what was there before was broken. But the possibility for what like blossoms out of there can be completely transformative. Like it can be this like, you know, post growth that's that brings us into something, something really beautiful.
Yeah, so you're reiterating this place you get to, which you're saying is rock bottom, is a place that can really bring about maybe the change that's needed in individuals and also the whole community.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope that's what's happening.
I really hope that's what's going to happen. Thanks, Michelle. Freddie, are you willing to listen to me?
Of course, Paul.
Thank you. Okay, this is, it's a real powerful conversation we're having here. I had something else I wanted to say, but that vision of rock bottom is quite a powerful image, and such a powerful reframing of rock bottom. So really getting this image of, you know, you being able to really build something solid on the bottom, as opposed to something that's not quite so grounded.
So you said that, this is a really powerful conversation we're having, and the image of rock bottom, and that at rock bottom you can build something really stable at rock bottom.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that comes with that is authenticity as an individual, but also as a people. But particularly if I'm thinking about my own authenticity, if I'm denying something, then that denial for me is keeping me off rock bottom, and actually being facing up to those realities is meaning that you can get to that firm foundation rather than trying to build on something which is a fantasy.
Okay, I think I heard you saying that this allows you to be authentic, and because you're building from rock bottom. I drifted a bit, Paul, I'm sorry.
No, that's right. That's right. And it links into something that, you know, just my own personal practice is something that came up in the session a couple of weeks ago, which was about confronting a challenge in the empathy circle, and this comes up in workshops all the time, and the learning I'm taking on is genuinely feeling love for the person who's getting it a bit wrong, and then being able to articulate that with words of compassion, not making them wrong in any way.
So something that comes up for you is from one of the previous workshops, some of the challenges when, a practice you've been practicing is when someone gets it wrong, feeling love for them and compassion for them.
Yeah. And it kind of, I was having this conversation with somebody this week because I found 2 stolen bikes over the weekend, and I reported them, and then I put them on Facebook, and then I've managed to find the owner, and it all got passed back to the owners, so they were all very happy. But I was thinking about how I'd feel about the person who stole the bikes, you know, and my, challenge would be to empathize. Well, I don't really know their situation. That's just a very kind of a trivial example of how it's easy to forget to empathize, and actually the big picture context is always needed. That could be me in another world, just feeling so desperate that I have to steal a bike.
Yeah. I heard you saying that you found 2 stolen bikes and you put them on Facebook and you managed to get them back to their owners, and the challenge for you was how should or how do you feel about the person that stole those bikes? And of course the bigger picture is to be empathetic, because what are they going through, and what that could have been you in a different world. And yeah.
Thank you, Freddie. Yeah, feel very heard.
You're very welcome. Okay, Edwin, please will you listen to me?
Listening.
I'm going to have to go after this, but I will proceed. So something that's been like bothering me and like been in conflict in my head is we've got lots of problems on this planet, and I feel quite strongly that I would like to help, but I'm no saint. Like, I'm full of defilements myself, and so like there's an expression I've been working with, like you've always got a choice: become part of the problem or become part of the solution. Whenever you're doing something, whatever it is, like every act you do in life. I'll pause there.
Okay, so you're saying after this you need to go, and you're kind of having some kind of a dilemma that you want to contribute to problem solving in the world. You're not perfect yourself, and that in every situation you've got a choice to make. there's choice.
Yeah. So my dilemma is that I want to obviously be empathetic. I want to be a good person. But the dilemma is that the human nature is flawed, that the selfish gene does exist. And like, at the end of the day, you know, one human will always choose their own survival over another. And that's what evolution has shown to date. But I do think that this can be changed. It's just, yeah. So like, can we change human nature? I think we can, but yeah, we've gone since today. We haven't, but.
Yeah, so you're saying that human nature has the selfish aspect to it, and that maybe that's blocking addressing the problems. And can that be changed? Can that selfishness, self-centeredness, or so be changed? And it's even evolutionary. You see that as an evolutionary kind of truth, or
Yeah. That's just helped me realize something. Yeah, because so coming back to that choice, like, okay, right, well, if we think it's impossible to, if we're flawed and we're doomed anyway, do you embrace that and just be like, all right, we're doomed? Or do you fight, even though you think you've got a slim chance? And yeah, obviously you fight, don't you? I'm gonna start saying, don't you?
So what I'm hearing there is that that there's this selfishness in society, in humanity, but what do? Do you fight that? And you said and there was some kind of a new insight that you'd gained from hearing the reflection too. I think that was it, that you do fight, or.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a really good quote. I don't know if you've watched Game of Thrones, but I really like it at the end, where I can't remember what he's called, but the North of the Wall, and he says, death is the enemy, the first enemy and the last. The enemy always wins, but first we must fight him. So for me, that means like you're fighting a battle that you're going to lose, but you fight, but you fight regardless. And yeah, and I think I'm out of time.
Yeah, so a quote that comes to you is, in Game of Thrones, essentially it's that, we start in death, we end in death, but, you can sort of fight that, you're going to lose anyway, but you have to fight that death. Sounds like it's very meaningful to you that quote, or that fight, or that approach.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit sad too. Maybe you feel a bit sad about it.
I have done in the past. I feel slightly different now.
Indifferent or different?
I feel slightly different now.
Oh, do you feel different now?
Yeah, I feel more hope and like strength.
Yeah, so you're feeling more hope and strength now. You had felt more hopeless or sad.
Yeah.
I think that was the time too for your feel heard.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Okay, then I'll speak to Michelle.
I have to leave now, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
See you, Freddie.
Freddie.
Are you back for the next cohorts, Freddie, or do you know what you're doing yet? Or?
I don't know, but I would like to be. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope
you join us again.
That'd be
Great
really
to
cool.
have you. And
Yeah.
also for empathizing with death. I think empathy, empathizing with death and hopelessness is the way forward. Empathizing with selfishness. So I think is a solution. Empathize with hopelessness, death, and despair.
It's a big fish.
And I'm speaking to Michelle on that, if you give me a reflection. See you, Freddie.
Take care, Freddie.
Really lovely, yeah, cool.
So you just want to reflect that, what I was just saying, Michelle?
You're recommending that we empathize with like the Grim Reaper.
And selfishness and hopelessness and yeah.
Cool. And selfishness and hopelessness and maybe even empathy itself.
Empathize with empathy. That would be a good one. Yeah. It was like when I did that topic, that empathy cafe, you know, it was on racism, what comes up for you. And it was pretty charged, you know, because everybody's like, oh, you know, this is a tough topic. Everybody's been sort of talked over, you know, in this around this topic, been shamed and blamed. And then it was so funny. There's one guy, I mean, it was like into the, you know, around the third or fourth turn, he said, it can't be this easy. It's like, it can't be this easy. We just listen to each other. It was so funny. It's like, it's like, there's something wrong here. It's got to be complicated. It's got to be, you know, it's got to be this really huge, complicated solution to these problems. And it's like, just listening to each other, it's too simple. So it was pretty funny.
Yeah, so yeah, I hear, yeah, like you're just reflecting on like the cafe on with Rebel Rhythm this week and on racism, and one of the guys like being like, it can't be this simple, like there must be more to it. I can't be this easy.
Yeah. And then he also mentioned something about boredom. And I think there's something about an empathy circle that there's sort of this underlying pain that we all feel. And the empathy circle starts creating this space for that pain to kind of come, you know, be under the surface. And it's like, I don't want to deal with this pain, you know. So there's something about pain, I think, that there's sort of an avoidance that goes on about pain. And somehow I thought of maybe doing empathy circles on pain. I mean, you'd want to do it on anxiety, you know, so maybe going head on to meet these feelings of pain, anxiety, fear might be a good topic.
Cool. So he mentioned like, yeah, he mentioned some being, maybe you mentioned boredom, and so you kind of brought, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it brought up for you this like underlying, that often there for people there can be underlying pain, and you're thinking that you're thinking of going head on like tackling, bringing that into the circles like now, and you're thinking as well of like how, yeah, like that I this anxiety like thing as well that I'd like to kind of bring into circles, and you're like, yeah, let's start going after
yeah, these painful feelings. And maybe I'm just speaking from myself, right? It's my own pain that I'm thinking about, you know, and to be able to bring up little bits and pieces, you know, of it and face it. And so, yeah, anyway, that's sort of in a sense of going for, you know, talking about going forward, you know, some topics for going forward.
Ooh, so you're thinking that maybe some topics for going forward are like, yeah, you're thinking your own pain and bringing little bits of it in maybe, and then, yeah, maybe that's what it is going forward a little bit.
Yeah. There was something else I kind of just lost my 27. No, that went fast. Wow. So I feel fully heard. You know. So,
Tina, do you mind listening to me? Would that be okay?
Yep, that'd be fine.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to see Freddie drop off. Actually, I'm really missing him out of the circle. Yeah, I'm loving the depth of the circle, and I love this idea of bringing like these deeper emotions like into the space that we start holding each other in these and creating the container for them. It's like it's really, really powerful. Yeah, I'll pause there.
So you're acknowledging just the little bubble that we have here with the circle, and that it's different now that Freddie's not in it anymore, and really acknowledging what a strong and safe container it is for emotions to pop up into.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like my own like journey with like these cohorts, like, you know, and just the times that I've been held and the times these more comfortable emotions have come up, and it's been like this, and it's been held, like, and there's an acceptance and there's community around it, and it's like I'm just slowly building, like I'm like slowly just building this muscle of like it's okay to drop more and more of the mask and just let myself be, you know, bring these things into the circles, into the community, and that it's like, and that there's empathy, like there's I've experienced really deep empathy in this community, and it's just it moves me to the depths of my core. I'm like, oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
So you've been through a few of those cohort trainings, and there's been several occasions where situations like this have come up where you've just noticed that it's a safe container and a safe community to let emotions rise in, and you're starting to feel maybe a little bit more comfortable for yourself too. You were saying to drop the mask, to just be like, you know, this is okay if other things come up. And then you said something else towards the end that I cannot recall right now. That you just really liked. Yeah, you were just voicing your appreciation for just how wonderful it was to be in this crowd of people.
Yeah, I feel so heard. So I think I was just like I feel really, really, really heard. And I'm just, we've 10 minutes left, and I'm keen that we leave like a few minutes for debrief, but I'm just wondering, I'd like to pass it to you now, if you'd like to, maybe if you'd like to do a final share.
I do want to take a bio break. I'm like, I got an emergency bio break.
How's everybody else feeling for a bio break?
That's what I did when my screen went blank.
Okay. Well, I'm just wondering. I'm just kind of sensing I'd like to do just leave space for Tina to do a final in case there's like anything more life for. Do you want to do your bio break, Edwin?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm fine. I'm sorry. I was the person who cried again.
You're talking to Paul, are you?
I'm having listening. I don't even. I'm just feeling like you said.
Okay, we'll go into debrief.
Yeah, in this group, it's like it's a safe place, and yeah, I've been really blessed in my life to have found multiple groups of people where it's just like, wow, this is a safe place. And so yeah, but always surprises me that I can have a chipper exterior and be like, yeah, no, everything's fine. And then I end up being the person that cries. So, but yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah, crying is crying was beautiful. Like it was like the most beautiful part of the whole circle. It's my favorite part. Just, like
to please anytime.
like it's kind of, for me, it's like ninja level. Like, so like I was in awe. I had so much respect. I was like, wow, like Tina is just great. Like it's beautiful.
No, it's the other way. It's somebody who totally does not have their shit together.
Who does? The leader that has their shit together is an inauthentic leader, I would assert.
We've ended up straight in debrief, Edwin.
Okay.
Yeah, we were gonna do a final round, but then as soon as he went off screen, it all fell apart. we just went like, we went straight into debrief.
That was wonderful circling. Thank you. Yeah. Even though I'm really tired, I felt engaged all the way, which I didn't think I would as easily. Beautifully held.
Yeah, it was really powerful. I was really grateful to be part of it. Just listening to like everything expressed by everybody, and then just the depth of it and the flow of it, especially moved by some of the things that were expressed.
I'm really grateful that, I mean, most often in circles like that, it's that feeling like, yes, we all feel the same pain, sort of, and we're connected that way. But I'm always hoping or looking to see like, well, do you know any magic approaches to make it better or to make it easier? And just what you said, Paul, that may have been a little bit of a magic approach for me. And so, yeah.
Well, this last, the fifth session is sort of a integrating, we had all these challenges and, to kind of end on a positive, where everyone just gets heard, where there's no challenges, just to connect. So that's sort of the purpose here. And also kind of what's everyone going to be doing next too. So try to find, hear where everyone's going next. And we'll be doing that in the debrief too, talking about that.
Yeah, the other thing I noticed about this particular circling was that I wanted to say something after each round based on what people had said, not the original question. So it's almost as if like I never got to those kind of prompted questions, which is absolutely fine, of course. And even on, I wanted to reflect back, something was said in the last round, which was around if everything's desperate, we still do all we can. And the thing that I remembered is a TED talk I listened to once, where the analogy was say a 6-year-old son has got some kind of brain tumor, and the doctor says there's nothing you can do. He would still do everything. I thought that was something that illustrated that perfectly.
Well, one thing that's always comes to mind when I hear that is my family went through World War II. You know, my parents and my father, so they were refugees. And on my father's side, everyone was killed. It was just him sort of traveling, you know, from the Eastern European side, eventually getting to the West. And on my mother's side, there was the family. So she had a whole family going through, you know, sort of the horrors together. So there's something about, you know, going through, you know, horror together that I think is supportive. So you have a community, you have people to talk to, you know, you've got that sense of connection that takes the edge off of, you know, the pain or the disconnection or chaos. And in terms of topic, it is always whatever's alive for you. So it is actually one of the questions is whatever's alive for you. So it all fits perfectly.
I was listening to Gabor Mate's. Oh, sorry, Tina, you
Tina's
had
got
your
her hand up.
hand
It's
up.
very
you
dark.
go
so they
first,
just-
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. No,
No, you first.
There was
yeah,
only
I
a minute
should.
left.
Yeah, I was listening to Gabor Mate's this week, and he you know, he's got that big film out, and one of the things that because he did similar to what Edwin, what you were describing there, like similar background in history, you know, and he pointed out that it was like in times of crisis that people do the most profound spiritual growth. I was wondering if that's what's happening to the planet. It was really. You reminded what you just shared. That reminded me of what you were sharing during the week. Tina, sorry, I took the time there.
No, my thoughts were similar to yours. I think it's kind of ridiculous in a way that, at least for me, I have the most connection to community and to other people because things are going to shit. You know, when everything was hunky-dory, just the connections with people and the community building didn't go quite as strong at all as it is right now. So it's kind of ridiculous.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
It's
Yep.
okay.
Likewise, Paul, Michelle, Tina. So you were doing the next section, Michelle?
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks. I think we're all back here. Is everybody? Have we everybody back now?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Okay, so so in the next, so we're going to do in the next section we're going to do each of us will share we'll do 2 rounds of questions. So question number 1 will be, what did you like about the training and the benefits to you? So we're gathering just the thoughts from everybody about like what the benefits, what you felt from it. And I'll call on people. Cecilia, would you like to share?
I'll try my best. Yes, it's always beneficial to listen to each other and to recap and to share. But what I bring with me from tonight is to sort of relax a bit more, practice more to gain more confidence, but then on the other hand, I want to make really good settings and introduction to make a safe space, but then try to make that empathy party of Freddie's that he mentioned in the beginning, to have that attitude, so, and enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron, would you like to share?
Often a thought pattern. Then the thing I've gained from this empathy training has been my belief that is to strengthen the belief that connection between people is really, and breaking away from my own small groups is the way for me to grow and for my community to grow and for that growth to spread out globally. Thank you.
Aaron, would you like to share?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I just actually had quite a funny idea that when Cecilia said that she referred to what Freddie shared as an empathy party, that there could be like sort of defining lists, that an empathy cafe maybe comes with coffee, an empathy party, Dorito and beer, and then session, you just wouldn't write it down.
Rave.
Empathy rave, yeah. But what I've really enjoyed has been the space in which it's been created for learning, and sort of the competence and sincerity of the trainers. It's really made such a hugely nurturing and inspirational place, because I guess as a facilitator, you're also you're facilitating an empathy circle, but in that sense, it's not the typical teaching style, but you are in a way facilitating the learning, and it's inspiring. And I think I'll take a lot from the different trainees that I've been in empathy cafes with during this process into the way in which I act as a facilitator, not just in empathy, as a teacher in a school as well. Such beautiful personalities here, and the benefits to me have been the fact that I think I can now be a better son, a better friend, and a better stranger. Thank you.
Shai, would you like to share next?
Yeah. I liked it that there were a lot of facilitators, that we could learn from a lot of people. Yeah, it was calm, it was easy. I more and more, each meeting, I also engage it more in my life, and also I feel like a part of a community of people. Yeah, like getting to know the people who are doing it for years and the people who are maybe more new to that. And there were so much invitations to join cafes and activities that I was drowning in, but that it's good. And more and more, I took it like not as a big, heavy duty to do it right, not to make a mistake, but more lightly, as okay, we just try to communicate as best as we can, and we have a few rules that to keep us, give everybody a chance to speak and be heard, and yeah, so I enjoyed more and more, and I'm wondering what's my next steps about courses here and joining meetings here. I want to be more involved, continue. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Joelle, would you like to share next?
Yeah, you know, I feel like there was a really great balance for me of enough sort of reading and informational stuff put out to understand, but a lot of time to just be in the process, which is where the greatest learning happens. I like that. I think the empathy process just lends itself to allowing for making mistakes and knowing that we will grow forward through it. That, but there is a lot of just kindness and support for just being in the learning process, and a trust that we will all move forward. So it's been lovely, and I want to do another training and keep with it. Thank you.
Thanks, Joelle. Deborah, would you like to share?
Yeah, I was saying in my group, you know, the biggest benefit for me this time around was it's just been such a support because of the circles I've been running at work, and, you know, hugely experienced facilitators here and the trainers as well. Fantastic. And just something that just popped into my head as well that I'd noticed the first time around that I did the facilitating is the physical impact this has on me, has on my physiology. I wear a Fitbit. I've now got a ring as well. And this happened the first time I did the course, I noticed my resting heart rate just got lower and lower, because it had been quite up during the pandemic. It had gone up by about 10 beats. It was a lot. And then when I did the first training in January, I could, yeah, I really started to relax. So, yeah. Next steps, I think I might do the training again. Yeah.
Cool. It's cool. Cool. Nice. Tina. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah. So yeah, what did I like about the training? I guess I just liked being here a lot. And also, yeah, I guess it's encouraging that it's such a simple process that I feel like, okay, maybe I would be able to facilitate this at some point in some way if called upon. So it was just good to see that it's not this ginormous, complicated thing. Like you said, Edwin, you had somebody commenting, there's got to be something wrong with this. This is too easy. So yeah, I like that. And yeah, the benefits for myself, I think it's just been good for my soul. So I want to thank you all for being good for my soul.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon on the next cohort. Oh.
Thanks, Michelle. I really liked the practice, really. I think I've done a few empathy circles before, and but not regularly each week, and that's one of the things I think I've benefited from. Just being in a space for a decent amount of time where you can be authentic and hang out with you amazing people. I learned a lot. I mean, the session today was a perfect example. Just each time somebody said something, I was thinking, yeah, that's really, I've learned something already from that, and I want to talk about that now. So yeah, just been really powerful. And the other thing about the training, I think, is it's very experiential, and that means that I can go at my own pace. So whatever I'm ready for next, I can bring in, and I think I've seen that with other people as well. Yeah. And next steps, just trying to blend it in to all the sessions that I've run. And yeah, like I said at the beginning, being able to reflect back as a facilitator is one of the most important baseline skills. So always value being able to practice that, and that's never ending. It's like a constant practice. So I'm very appreciative for this space for helping me practice that.
Tiao, do you like to share?
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, I appreciated observing the trainers and you, Edwin, unfolding this experience, this work, as well as all of us as participants feeling like we're in a sort of a stream that moves. And logistically, I've struggled with, oh, that's right, I need to read my emails early. And that's part of my dilemma also around initiating more groups formally, is that I feel like I need to have enough capacity in my life to manage that aspect. The facilitation itself feels relatively, I feel comfortable with it. Although there are aspects of, you know, how much do I really share? How deeply do I really go? I'll leave it at that for the moment. Yeah, and I'm planning to return. So much appreciation again. Thank you.
Oh, Michelle.
Yeah, I think I got a lot out of this. I had done this facilitator training another time, and I found that doing it again just really helped to, you know, pepper me some more with how it works and learn a little bit more and get a little bit more confident. So I'd say that's what I liked about it, and how it benefited me was really repetition is my style of learning. So thank you everyone for everything. I've benefited from every piece of what everybody's inputted. Thank you.
So we'll do we do the trainees and the trainers in this section as well, or Edwin, or?
We could do it quickly if we just say quickly go through anything.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Graham, would you like to share?
For sure. Thanks, Michelle. I'm really captivated by what Deborah says about the effect of the empathy circles and facilitation circles, and that it lowers her resting heartbeat by 10 beats. To me, that's just a knockout. I love it. Anyway, I think facilitating actually is a life skill. And once again, I'm quoting Deborah. She summarized some of our conversations that, yes, facilitating the empathy circle is easy, but it takes a lifetime to master, you know. So, and then we had another theme that has cropped up right the way through our session, and that was if you're concerned about facilitating, or your facilitating is not going well, then you need to come back here and need to find out a little bit more, soak it up. So anyway, I've enjoyed it and I'm going to attend again. So thanks.
I, I realized I should have shared myself as well there during the training pieces. I'll just share really, really briefly is like, yeah, just like echoing that is that like the benefits I'm finding is that like it's the safest place in the world to like fail. Like it's just like it's okay. Like it's just that like holding and community and empathy and just like yeah, I feel like I often feel like the goldfish, like, you know, every 90 seconds I bump against like the side of the bowl and forget, and then I have to come back and swim out and just try again. But it's like, yeah, like, yeah, if yeah, I think somebody compared like, like if you're a goldfish, how would you know that you're in water? And it's like if it's like the water is all around us, like the empathy is all around us, like, and it's like this community keeps reminding me and keeps bringing me back to that, is like, yeah, it's like being in the sea. It's like there is a sea of empathy here, and you can just like swim around in it and do little backflips in it and play and blow bubbles, and oh, it's just gorgeous. Like it's just really, really, really sweet. Yeah, and I'm profoundly grateful for that. So I'll be coming back anyway, because yeah, I like the bubbles. Celine, would you like to share next?
Yes, let's see. What I like about the training is learning by doing, and a sense that I have something more to contribute to the world. I'm really glad also to be learning more about XR through all of you who have shared. And I am kind of blown away today. Bill said something about the circles as empowerment of the individual. And I love that. And I love that we're talking about a group process that empowers the individual. So thank you, Bill. I'm grateful, and I'm complete.
Thank you, Celine. Larry, would you like to share next?
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you all. I'm just so moved by this experience today. It's incredible. And I'm sitting here thinking, it's like we are, in a way, we are the nest of civilization. We are the latest generation of evolved human beings who are awakening to realize that humanity has been under the threat and domination of patriarchal thinking that goes back 10,000 years. And what we're doing here, this empathy experience and practice, is dissolving the hierarchy of yesterday so that we can all live safely in this beautiful life experience. And we're creating that. So thank you all.
Dean, over to you.
What do I like about the training? Meeting all of you creative, wonderful, insightful beings, because literally bouncing the energy around in the circles is a privilege, and to actually see your growth through the sessions is really fulfilling, and it fills me full of enthusiasm to carry on and on and on, because I know that we are but pebbles dropping in the water, and we make ripples, and if we can make enough ripples, then we can change the dynamic of that surface tension that's always there, is always seething and always keeping everything restrained. We're going to open up people to this new openness, and actually we're going to recognize what the true empathy is, which is the giving of our time, the giving of our energy, and giving it freely and giving it with joy. So that's the benefits I gained from doing this circle work. Thank you.
Bill,
Sure.
would you like to share with us?
Sure. Well, I'm very worried about the state of our world, both ecologically and politically. When I turn on the television, it seems, and if I borrow a word from my New Zealand friends, it's run by a bunch of plonkers. So when I come here, I really appreciate, you put the lie to that perception, and it gives me hope. So thank you all for your struggles and your participation.
Thank you, Bill. Edwin.
Yeah, kind of what's coming up for me in terms of the benefits is the community aspect. It seems like every time we do these cohorts, there's another layer of community building, and really is very meaningful. And all the trainees taking part and supporting this, that's really a lot of gratitude for that. And also the incremental building, development of this. So I love what Deborah was saying about the Fitbit. I think that'd be great. We all wear Fitbits, and kind of measure, get those academic studies for how this is beneficial. It'd be great to say, oh yeah, we have proof here. Everybody that wears, their blood pressure goes down. So that'd be pretty cool. So anyways, that incremental learning and growth that I really appreciate. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. And I'll now hand it over to Bill.
All right. So the second question, in our first session, we spoke of creating a culture of empathy. And we placed empathy at the center, but we also talked about, and this is not a complete list, but mutuality, openness, and care. And so now you've had the experience. So I'm sort of trying to ask you to comment on, now we re-engage with those concepts: empathy, mutuality, care, and openness. You've had the experience as opposed to the first time. How does that change your worldview? How does that enrich your view? And the metaphor I use is that if you cover one eye, you see this something with two-dimensional, but then if you uncover the second eye, you have depth perception. And that's sort of the metaphor that I look at as having the experience of this. So I'll go around my screen and you can comment on that or something else. It's, whatever you need to do here. But that's sort of the thing, when we re-engage with these concepts, how has our view changed through the experience? All right, I'll go around my Tina.
So I don't know if this answers the question directly, but to me, just looking at empathy, if I look at empathy circles kind of like as an intervention of sorts, any other intervention, if you try to put it upon people, like if I look at XR as an intervention, it's like I have to convince people that they have to do this, that there's no choice, and it's not going to be a pleasant intervention. And I tell people, look, if you do this, it's going to be horrible, but it has to be done. So please be brave and do this. Whereas with the empathy circle, it's like, look, this isn't going to hurt. This is actually going to be nice. And so to me, that I see this potential that it might actually be doable to spread this and have other people go like, oh yeah, this actually, I'm not losing anything by participating. I'm not losing out by giving others my empathy. I'm not conceding to their view or anything. It's just like, it just makes the world better. So I'm hopeful with that.
Great. Thank you, Tina. That was great. Tiaho.
Sure. What will I be doing next with empathy circles and building a culture of empathy? Well, basically the challenge is to gently but clearly be practicing empathy in circles, let's say in XR, where there's division. and for that to be a lived experience that's not coercive or authoritarian, that this is the way and the light, but it's an experience that's shared. And yeah, that's it really.
That's fine. Thank you. Michelle.
Me, Michelle?
Yes, capital M, Michelle. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so what will I be doing next with the empathy circles? I'm going to be holding monthly empathy circles through our XR circle, which is the movement vitality circle and regenerative culture. Yeah, so I'm super excited and also a little bit nervous, but this second go through of this has really been helpful to give me the confidence to do it. And as we were kind of building in and kind of putting the empathy circle and the visioning and the grief processing together, it was like, okay, I need to do this facilitator training again. I got to get some more under my belt. And it really helps to do that for me going forward with taking this into XR. Because I think that there's a missing piece of, we've got our mobilize, and we've got our actions, but to sort of hold all of that together, we need to build community. And so that's where I'm hoping to go with this. Check.
Thank you, Michelle. Joelle?
I think I'm answering two different, I could think there were questions from Bill, and then I see the written question from Edwin. And Bill, when you were asking your questions, I think one of the things that is happening for me is a feeling of hope and empowerment, in that sense of mutuality, that we all belong here, and we all have a special role to fill that's individually ours. And I'm starting to see that more clearly. And sort of my next steps is to continue to do more training, to offer some empathy circles for some tense co-worker situations, and then to just live that out in my personal life and all my interchanges with people.
So I want to acknowledge the two questions. And so what I'm talking about is sort of like like care. Well, 4 weeks ago, we introduced care. And now you've experienced the empathy circle and we have care. And that, of course, leads to next steps. So whichever way you want to go as far as those two questions are involved. But there's a shift in perception, and I'm trying to help people to experience that. All right, Aaron.
Thank you. Very much inspired by the empathy cafes I've been with you, Bill, and sorry for not being there for the last couple of weeks. I intend to come back. Is that, I really have sort of seen how there's a lot of shame in education, and I've learned that empathy is an antidote to shame, and shame prevents people from being able to be vulnerable, and vulnerability is necessary for learning. And I think, so next I'm going to really try and work with the teachers, because I truly believe that first we've got to stop dishing out shame. And I think if we had an empathic teacher body, that would stop occurring. And then creating I like to describe it as like a fine net where anyone who's struggling will be caught. And I think sort of the most fine mesh in this net would be if everyone had these skills and ability and had engaged in empathy circles and had lived experience. So education, I think from this process and being introduced to empathy circles, I feel inspired to also shape my career path along this in sort of like, yeah, activism in the area of education specifically, and regenerative empathic and courageous culture with young people. So just thank you so much. I'm so grateful to all of you.
Well, thank you, Aaron. Shay.
Hi. Yeah, it seems like we are just a bunch of people talking what's on our mind. But I think that what we do here is a radical activism. It's a rebellion. It's a rebellion against the normal way of communicating, which is hierarchic, which is in almost everywhere we go, it's people talking down to other people and telling them what to do. And this way of communicating, of equalitarian community, is going to equalitarian society, which is the basic of the problem, I think. The basic of what I would like to change. I would like to change the discussion, having people who rules us and telling us what to do. Also, the governments and the industry and teachers and in the army and in workplaces, everywhere people are telling other people what to do and talking down, giving orders, and not listening and trying to understand each other. So this is a radical work, and I would like to take part of spreading that as much as we can everywhere.
So right. So Shay, you expressed what I was talking about. There's saying, okay, let's be egalitarian, and there's the experience of being egalitarian in this process. And I think that has benefits. So that's just briefly. Ron.
Okay, I've just been thinking about that. For me, what I've gained from this this training and the interaction with the people that I have met through this training is hope. There's some huge challenges facing that I'm facing, that the XR community here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, are facing, and our country is facing, our world is facing. And I think that this has empathic listening and the potential that it has given me that hope. And I thank everybody. And there is a saying, and I'm going to mangle te reo Māori. So, e aha te mea nui o te ao, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. What is the most important? It is people, it is people, it is people.
Thanks so much, Ron. Cecilia.
Yes, I will. I really need to take this over again, but I can't do it straight away. Going out of the net for a while, but and it is a struggle, I find, to get other people interested in it. But I'll start with the ones that got and a really great experience with one saying, well, this is XR, the three demands of XR incarnated within these 2 hours: to act now and to be truthful and to strengthen democracy in the same. So it's, I agree with the rebellion way of oh, I can't remember. Sorry, I'll pass on to next.
Okay, Cecilia, thanks. Look forward to seeing you again. Deborah.
So next steps, yeah, I'll continue to be running circles for work. And there's a couple of other online communities I'm involved in that that I can do that too. But I was thinking about something I've not experienced yet is running a face-to-face empathy circle. I would love to do that. I've never done one. I think it would be amazing, and things are starting to open up in the UK now, and I'm sort of thinking about some possibilities and how great it would be if I could find, you know, someone nearby me and they could come and join me and we could run an outside one. Yeah, so that's good. And I'll probably redo this training again. So thank you, everyone.
Sure. And we have done street actions and others face to face. So everyone is a tremendous resource.
Yeah, excellent. Right.
Okay. Graham.
Thank you, Bill. These empathy circles have certainly empowered me. And one of the things I'm noticing is that my relationships are deeper and more resilient. And so I need to carry on with this work in my relationships, but it makes me feel much more confident about the whole empathy circle process and my skills at facilitating. And in this last week, I've had some support in terms of setting up an empathy circle, and it's been very valuable support. And so I'm going to commit to doing in the next week, and from then onwards continuing, is to restart my advertising for an empathy circle, build some 30-second videos, and promote these. And I'm developing some apps to actually do some of this kind of semi-automatically. So yeah, I make a commitment to move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Larry.
Well, I plan to continue right here with Edwin, and you guys continue building the experience within to expand the experience without, and let this be the nest egg of civilization to come here to this oasis and experience empathy in a safe space. I'll be right here. Thank you, Bill.
Good to have you, Larry. We need you. Dean.
Wow. It's so good to hear so much positivity. I know before I started with Edwin in the Empathic Circle, I was an angry person. And it calmed me being heard in a way that I'd never been heard before. So it's a very powerful mechanism. This oxy, whatever it's called, chemical, is actually really good. And I know that I have to do more than one circle a week, because one circle a week is brilliant. 2 circles a week is actually a little bit better. So maybe I'll end up with doing a circle every day. I don't know, but it seems to be headed that way. And I'm actually looking forward to that. I think it's going to be brilliant, because actually growing and cross-pollination that happens in these circles is so powerful. I come across points of view that I'd never actually would have had time to listen to. And that really enriches me in a way that I am so thankful for. So I thank every one of you for attending and fertilizing me with your energies and your insights. And yes, more of the same, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Celine.
Yes, well, I'm hanging in here. I want to be part of the next cohort. I want to keep supporting Edwin in his work and continuing with my efforts to do empathy circles, both the class and in the community. This is very nurturing for me, and I want to continue.
Great. Thanks, Celine. Always appreciate your presence. Michelle, with a small m.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I love this community, and I feel like I've grown so much throughout it, and it's just, yeah, it's just been just been so much beauty and so much connection and so much depth. And even in the last week, just reflecting on it was like a difficult week emotionally. Like I had this like anxiety stuff that came up, and I had a few body calls, and it's like I can feel like how much that's just shifted, and it's so for me it's just like it's a continual journey. So I'm looking forward already to the next cohort, and just such a huge amount of gratitude to everybody in this group. Just like special place here for each person that's in it, and just very thankful.
So my perspective is, I don't believe that science even recognizes empathy or really looks at it. I mean, there's a bunch of books about it and, conceptualizing, but I think something's happening experiential that we haven't quite grasped our heads around. I'm a retired special education teacher. I dealt with kids who were in crisis. There are millions of kids who are not being listened to. And so my job is not done and until those kids are listened to. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. Edwin, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, so we started off, this is sort of a bringing us full circle. We started off talking about a culture of empathy, and so we're sort of ending on that as well. And I see that the culture of empathy is a positive cycle of, you empathize, you have it mutual, it creates openness through trust, sense of care gets developed, community gets developed. So it is sort of a positive cycle. And that's kind of what I'm seeing is the culture of empathy. And so those underlying feelings and values that are, supporting each other and creating greater well-being. And then there's all the, the technical stuff, the trainings and all that. So I'm going to keep working on developing the training, keep iterating on it, keep spreading it. We've got this module 1 we're refining, and then we'll be on to module 2, module 3. So like an ongoing, it's life's work. Yeah. And on to Dean, you're closing us out.
Oh, there we go. So thank you, Edwin. I'd just like to thank everyone else. And I've lost my script, which is not a bad thing sometimes. So we have to live on the fly. I'm on the fly now, shooting from the hip. And I'm just saying that please spread the word. And if you have any insights on how we can get XR more invested in the empathic circle process, please forward them to us, because we do think that this process has got a very powerful tool to enable us to actually feel heard and to open us up in ways that will actually enrich us and allow us to then take this process on and build this new culture of empathy.
And I got a couple of things to add here, Dean. So I'm putting into the next cohort is 13B. So I put a link in. We'll be having several weeks of open empathy cafes. So you can invite friends, so they can come and check it out, or you can attend yourself to just to reconnect with the empathy, continue practicing the empathy circle. And that link there is, you can, if you want to be a trainee, you can, add your name as a trainee, so you get that, or you can take the training again. Let's see. Yeah, so we'll probably we'll keep having those open intro cafes, maybe the next 4 weeks, or until we get about 22 participants signed up. So the sooner we get the participants, the sooner we'll start that next cohort. And let me see what else we have here. There is a feedback form, and I'll send an email out with all this information. there's a feedback form for the sort of an evaluation of the overall course. You gave a bit of a feedback here, but you can also, great to get it in writing. So if you fill that out, there's some questions. And we'll be sending out a final email with maybe doing another empathy buddy call, keep you connected. Yeah, so that's just a few points. Dean?
So as we come to the end, guess what? It's the jazz hand. Oh, sorry, Tiaho. Yes, question.
I'm wondering the buddy call between people who are, if we could keep that going more than once while the cafe is still going around, that'd be cool. Okay, sweet.
Oh yeah, during the
I'm up
next
for
couple
that.
weeks. Yeah, whoever would like to, yeah, we can definitely.
Yeah, because there was some people that I didn't get to buddy with, and I would love to. So, yeah.
Okay, in between cafes, we can have some. We'll send out a list of empathy buddies, and also we have the trainers. If you're like, hey, I really want an empathy buddy, I'm not able to connect with mine. You can connect with the trainers or the trainees for doing an empathy buddy call too, or in addition, if you're needing one to keep. And that's something too we need to develop more. Is that that's great suggestion, Theo, to that community aspect building aspect. You know, what can we do to add more layers of support for that? Because that's been one of the things people have asked for is, hey, we need more community building here, and how do we do that? Yeah, Tiaho?
Yeah, I agree with that support. For me, by the time I'm in the training aspect, facilitator training, I'm really happy to share my phone number with everyone who's here. And I trust that that's going to be used appropriately. And so by the time, rightly or wrongly, whether I dig into my emails and then there's an email that goes out and an email comes back and it's just like, I would prefer it if there was, for people who feel comfortable with that, just to put their phone numbers up and then we can have a quick call and get through that whole block of how do we get to my buddy call. But I don't know, that's room for more discussion.
Yeah, for the design, so we can look at that in the design, make a note of that. Yep.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. So unless there's another comment, we've got our final empathy buddy calls. You can write one feeling, though. Before you do, what's one feeling? We didn't put that in there. One feeling.
Oh, I was get something.
Yeah. Let's see, before we do the buddy call, one feeling.
Relaxed, peace,
joy,
empowered, love, such
low blood pressure. I love that, Deborah, that Fitbit. We're gonna wire everybody up. Get those scientific studies of empathy circles.
Richness,
confident.
Hopeful. Capital locks the other way around. Graham.
All right, everybody. See you next time. See you in the empathy cafes or in the training.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Shay. Bye, Ron.